to Momentum in Real Estate, your guide to success in the dynamic world of real estate. I'm Cory Wolf.
And I'm Kristin James. Whether you're just starting out or a seasoned pro, we're here to help you reach new heights.
Success in real estate comes from learning, growing, and serving others.
Join us as we dive into strategies for lead generation, marketing, market trends, and client relationships.
Get ready to ignite your momentum and achieve your goals in real estate.
Let's dive in and unlock your full potential.
This is Momentum in Real Estate.
Welcome, friends. Meet Kristi Martin, founder of Kristi Martin Realty, one of the top producing real estate teams in East Texas. Since launching in 2021, her team has helped clients successfully buy and sell residential, farm and ranch, investment, and commercial properties. Known for strong negotiation skills and top-tier service, Kristi and her team are passionate about delivering results while keeping community at the heart of everything they do. Welcome to the Momentum in Real Estate podcast, Kristi.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
Yes, we're so excited to have you too. So share with us your real estate story in your own words. Like, how'd you get here?
So I'm from Texas, and I was a teacher and an administrator at a school. I was in education for about 12 years. I have two boys, and one of them was 4 and one of them was about 6 months old. And I just decided that education wasn't for me. I didn't get to go to my oldest first field trip. I didn't get to go to his parties. I didn't get to do anything that, a mom gets to do, because I was always in a classroom or working as an administrator at the high school. And so there was one day that just things didn't go too well. And I went to my kid's party, and I got a call that I needed to come back and deal with some other kid that was being bad or something. And I was like, you know what? I don't think I want to do this anymore. And so in May, I sort of just I went to HR and asked how many days I had off, basically vacation days, and they told me 28 days. So I actually just wrote my resignation and took 28 days off and came home and told my husband I quit my job and I wasn't going back. So we had a 4-year-old and probably about an 8-month-old at that point. And he said, "Oh my Lord, what are we going to do?" And I said, "Well, I just got my real estate license, so I guess I'm going to figure out how to do it." And so a week later, we lived in a neighborhood that had like 2 to 5 acre lots and sort of rural area. And we live in a small town. And so I got on our side by side with my 4-year-old, and we drove up to my neighbor's house, and I said, "Hey, Miss Patty, I am now a real estate agent, and I know you have a bunch of lots in this neighborhood that haven't sold. Can I list them?" And she said, "Sure, honey." And so I got 11 listings. My second week as a realtor, had no clue how to do any of it. My good friend Libby Gamble, I called her and I was like, "I don't know what to do. I don't know how to put these in an MLS. I don't, so she helped me through that. And I started out with EXP. And so everything was virtual. So like there was no office to go to figure this out. And I started taking this class. It was called Realtor 101. Jonathan Dupree taught it. He's with Keller Williams. And every Sunday, all summer at 8 o'clock, I would put the kids to bed. I would lock myself in my room, and I would have my calendar for the week. And I would take this class, and I would write down everything he said to do. And I would do it that week. And by September, I had I don't know, maybe close to 20 listings. And I had my first big closing. And so I made like $10,000, and I didn't know what to do. I was like, "Oh, thank God." And so, because by that time my money had run out from my back pay from, education. And so after that, I just sort of figured out, okay, one big thing that Jonathan in his class and had said was, you need to make so many contacts a day. And so you work the math backwards and you figure out, okay, I need this much money and it equals this many phone calls. And so I still have the calendar from 7 years ago. I don't know where it's in here somewhere, but every day I would write down who I talked to. And my goal was like 5 to 7 people a day. And it just kept growing and growing. And then my number of closings just kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And so, yeah, so that's sort of how I got into real estate, sort of just jumped in. But I knew one thing: I was not going to have everybody say, I told you so. I just worked as hard as I could to make it happen. And so really neat that I have my 2 boys and I get to go to any field trip or support any way I need to. And so I've been able to change my family's life by making this slight adjustment.
That's incredible, Kristi. And I love the themes of just grit and perseverance, and like nothing throws you into the deep end. Like, I just quit my job and I have kids and I've got to like figure this out. And you just did it. And so I love that you literally just dove in and were like, sink or swim, here we go. And you did the work. So, I mean, what an incredible example. So, I'd love to kind of talk more specifically about building a business in a small town. You know, like there obviously all of our markets have kind of nuances and unique features, but it sounds like you grew up in East Texas, in perhaps a small town. What are the unique characteristics that you have really leveraged to build your business as you have done?
Okay, so I sort of built it by accident, I think. Not accident, but I have a heart for students, for kids. I have a heart for helping people, and I have a big heart for my community. And so I'm actually not from, I live in Troup, Texas, but I'm actually from a town over called White House, which is, if y'all watch football, where Patrick Mahomes is from. But so we moved here when I started teaching. My husband's family's from here. And so one thing that I just wanted to help people. And in my philosophy is, the more people you talk to and the more people you help, the better return God's going to give you. I mean, the more you help people, it comes back tenfold. When I really decided that I was going to make this small town sort of my niche, I just decided we would start doing events to help our community. And so we started doing back to school bash, and I basically would just get a bunch of sponsors. We would go out and talk to people and say, hey, we're buying backpacks. So we started out giving away 50 backpacks full of school supplies the first year. And we would give away free snow cones, and we'd make a big, make an Eventbrite deal out of it. We would try to get everybody in the community involved, and kids from all over could come get free backpacks full of school supplies. And then so it just was a ton of marketing. And our sign and our billboard and all of our stuff is bright turquoise with yellow flowers, so it stands out everywhere. And right now we have like 150 listings, so people are seeing these signs and these billboards everywhere. If you even see something turquoise, you just think it's me in my brokerage. So, and a friend of mine, Hayden Riggs, he's at KW, he helped me design my sign. So that sort of really helped. But I think the community events, we've grown it to where we do our August back to school bash. This year, we're going to give away 150 backpacks full of school supplies. And so, which is pretty big for a town that probably only has 500 students. And anybody can come from other areas too. Another thing that we do is they have a Christmas parade every year. I have a building that is in downtown. It's a building from like 1890. And my husband, who is very supportive of everything I do, helped me renovate this building and create a space downtown to where we could host events for our community. And so we have our pictures with the elf every Christmas. Instead of doing I'm not a fan of floats. One time we had this Christmas float with a house on it, and we were driving down the road and the house flew off and it was just a cluster. So I was like, you know what? I'm never doing this again. I will open my doors and do professional pictures with an elf for family Christmas pictures because I'm not doing this. And so we have 10 agents with us now, so they love to do the float, so it works out. I stay here, I do pictures with the elf, and then they do the float, so I don't have to do that. And then another big thing that we started last year was our Kristi Martin Realty Fun Run. And so, like I said, kids are a big part of my heart. And so we started a scholarship fund, and we actually raised this year in a town with 3,000 people in it, we raised $9,000 for a scholarship. And so we are actually setting it up to be a residual scholarship. It's going to be a $4,000 scholarship every year. And we're doing it in all of the counties that we serve. So we serve 3 or 4 different counties around here. So those are sort of our 3 big events, and they take 2 to 3 months to plan each of them. They're sort of spread out. But the advertising that comes along with that, and the partnerships that we've made, the relationships we've developed, and then the fact that we're able to help people, and not only help people buy and sell houses and with real estate and with development and those types of things, we're actually able to do something that $4,000 for a kid, I mean, that changes their life. I like to do big things. And so I think that, wrapping this back up to your question, I think that doing all of these things, giving back, is really the reason that we've gotten bigger and we've gotten out there, because it just, we got turquoise everywhere.
I love that. That is something that Kristin and I do in our own little pockets of Western North Carolina, and it truly does make a difference in like the planning around it and all of that. It sounds like you've got that down to a T, and I love those event ideas. Like, our listeners should take that and run. That's
Yes.
awesome.
I actually have one more. So we have a train that comes through this town, and it stops and it makes everybody mad, and it ruins your day, because it like might be there for 10 minutes, it might be there for 30 minutes. Sometimes it could be there for, if it's broke down, it's a nightmare. So one day we have a big window, and I was sitting and I was watching all the cars back up, and I said, man, everybody just looks so grouchy out there. Like, we need to do something. So about 2 years ago, I came up with something called a train treat. And so we have candy with this is our turquoise white.
I love it.
And so it's got our phone number. It says train treat. And every time, I spend so much money on this, we have to limit how many times we go out there for the train. So they're stuck at the train, and we go walk downtown with all the cars backed up, and we hand out our train treats. And we started this like 2 years ago, and everybody loves it. It makes people smile. And it really helped people to know, hey, Kristi Martin Realty is downtown. And the front of my building, of course, is bright turquoise, so it stands out. So, but it brightens people's day, and it's actually very cheap because we get all our candy in bulk, and my sister makes my stickers. So, but the funny thing is, like, we're all trained. We hear that train whistle, and we're like going and grabbing candy and going out there. And sometimes we'll be like in the middle of a meeting, and then I'll have to be like, nope, we're having our meeting.
We gotta, focus.
That's another thing that has really helped, like, with our branding. So
I love that.
We're the train treat ladies.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, so creative. That's brilliant. Okay, so I really want to ask about how you navigate the rural living, because like, what does that look like? Like, are you saying I'll go out an hour? And then also, I did hear you do residential, investors, commercial. Like, how do you navigate all the different markets too? So kind of twofold
Yes,
question.
we do about a 2-hour radius. So East Texas is pretty spread out and big. So we do, like I said, I mean, I've gone to Dallas. Matter of fact, we have a closing next week in Dallas. I've gone to Lake Livingston. You know, like I'll go wherever. And I went to Oklahoma yesterday showing land, and I'm working on my broker's license in Oklahoma. And so I'll go anywhere if it pays for, you know, like it's money. Money's money. So I enjoy traveling too. We went to Rocker B to play. We play a lot of baseball, and so I went and did a tour of this gorgeous home. It was like $1.7 million, and I did like this video tour while we were playing baseball. So I love houses, and I really like new construction. So yeah, we go anywhere, but most of our core is we about a 2-hour radius. And then can you remind me of your second question?
Basically, like, how do you navigate having all the different markets, investor, residential,
Okay.
commercial?
When I started this, I'm really big on foundation. And so when I started Kristi Martin Realty, I knew I wanted to be big. I mean, I'm maybe not like Keller Williams big, but like I wanted to be big. And so, or big for this area. And so what I did was I put some things into place to be able to leverage things. So I have two virtual assistants that are in the Philippines. We created our phone number. And so when you call our number, it says press 1 if you want to buy a home, press 2 if you want to sell a home, press 3 if you want to lease a home. And so with that, when they press a 1, it goes to 3 or 4 or 5 of my agents that are on a certain lead plan. And so they get those leads. Then if you press 2, it goes to me. And so I do the listing side of things. Everybody else can list, but you know, the leads are coming into me. And then we do a lot of rental property. I own a property management company. And so I have an agent that deals with all the rentals and stuff like that. I have 10 agents, and I'm very picky, maybe not the right word, but I interview agents and I make sure that everybody meshes. We don't play around. We don't have drama. We're about it. And so I choose who comes through our door, and I have created a team of ladies that want to build wealth and want to help people and want to help people in our community. And so I do a interview process. And so while I'm interviewing these people, I sort of figure out, you know, what is their niche. And so we have one girl who does, you know, our VA. We have another who's FHA. I do a lot of development and new construction. I grew up on a farm, and so land is just something that comes natural and easy to me. But anyway, so I have each of these agents, and they each have a niche or a gift. And so when someone comes in and they're like, hey, I'm looking to buy a ranch, then I'm going to send them to probably Jerry. Or if I want to, you know, I'm a veteran, I am a first time home buyer, I'm going to send them to Susan. You know, if I have difficult clients, I have Christina, who's amazing with all different kinds of clients. So I'm probably, and I mean, she knows this, so it's not like she knows I do. Like, and everybody sort of, and we talk, we meet. I do weekly coaching I have an agent lead plan, and there's 5 of them on it. And so we have a weekly coaching session with me, and we talk about these things. We talk about our goals. We talk about our why. Why are we doing this? You know, our building, the back of our building, we had a storm and it fell in May, and it took out all our electric, our AC. It was a nightmare, and we had no power for 3 weeks, no AC for like 6 weeks. And we were all up here with fans. May was our best month ever in the whole history of my life. And we were up here with like no AC. But so we're all about it. But so anyways, just I spend a lot of time getting to know my agents and working with them. And so I can sort of match who's going to do well with the clients that we have.
That's awesome. What do you think I guess backing up, I believe that like all of our life experiences contribute to like what we're doing today and influence that. What would you say you have brought from your experience in education that you feel like you're really leveraging and have integrated into your real estate business?
Yeah, that's a difficult one. I think that, so one thing about me is I was never good at school. I struggled through college. I struggled through my master's. I have failed every test that I've ever taken. One time they wanted me to coach and drive a bus, and I had to go take the bus test. And I told these people, I was like, look, I have a 4.0 in grad school, but I can't pass this test to drive a bus. Like, it was the written test. And I was like, dude, there is this guy with no teeth that passed this test. And what is wrong with me, and so one thing, maybe not even just education, but one thing that I have brought with me through my entire life is I just don't quit. And honestly, I failed my Texas broker test 5 times. Five. I passed it on the 6th time. So I always tell my kids, and I tell everybody here, like, I don't feel sorry for you. We're not quitting. We just keep swimming. And I always think of Dory off of Finding Nemo, like, just keep swimming, because eventually you'll do it enough times that it will work. So that, and two, something from education is leadership. I've always been a natural leader. I really enjoyed leading students and leading teachers as an administrator, problem solving. Those things were really, I think that teachers make really good real estate agents because of that. Like, you're shoved in a room with like 25 kids, and then you've got to be with them for like 7 or 8 hours, and then you're responsible for them actually learning something. And so you have got to, like, you can't quit. You got to be a leader, and you got to figure out, how to make it work. And if something's not working, you have to problem solve. And you have 23 kids in a class, you're going to have 23 personalities, and you better learn how to. And then when you go to junior high and high school, you got like 100 of them, because they're all coming through. I mean, I wouldn't even know these kids' names until like Christmas. I would be like, hey, red shirt or blondie. Like, I am horrible at names. And so, like, by the end of the year, I'd finally learn all 100 of them name. But those, being a leader and not giving up and problem solving, I think is really, I brought those traits with me to real estate, and you can't be successful without those.
Well, and a huge heart of gold. Any teacher, I'm like, how do you do it? It's my little one, my oldest is in kindergarten going to first grade, and I was like, I walked in to read to those kids. I was like, how in the world? So yeah, heart of gold, acts of service, all those things, like you've got it. Oh, I love that. Um, Okay, so something that we didn't dive into, but I am sure you have like a whole coaching session on all of this, is like new agents and diving into land and connecting with a builder, because we're seeing that so much in our area and I think across the country. So how do you coach your agents into diving into new development and what that looks like?
Okay, so I, something like about me that I don't study books or things like that. Like, I read books, but I listen to them. But I am hands-on. So when I want to learn something, I go find someone who's doing it and who's successful at them. I latch on for dear life. Like, you're not going to get rid of me. And so I have a developer that 6 years ago I started working with, and I knew nothing about new construction or development or anything like that. And so I found out that he met with his whole team every Wednesday. And so about 3 Wednesdays a month, if I was open, I would drive 40 minutes to his office and sit in that room. And I think at first he thought I was nuts, but I mean, I learned so much. And so then I actually started building houses. I've flipped houses, I've built houses, new construction, and then now we are building 2 neighborhoods in Troup. We've developed the land. There hasn't been a neighborhood built in this town in like 17 years. And so I brought my developer down here and we sort of went in together, and I've got to learn the process. So with saying all that, I bring all that experience back to our weekly meetings, and really just me coaching them. We sort of pick a topic every week that we're going to discuss. And so whether it's new construction or whatever it is, and I teach on that topic. So if it's mobile homes or if it's land, there's a lot of things that go into new construction and development, but the way that I have learned it has been hands-on. And probably for the past 6 years, I've just market, like if you want to do new construction, you have to market to that, and you have to make it look like you know what you're doing, even if you don't. Like, I mean, so studying land, going out and going to a neighborhood that's been built with no houses in it, going and touring, learning about the utilities and learning about the setbacks. And like each city has a city website, and there's a building packet on that website that tells you how to build a house, how to build a neighborhood, how to build commercial. And if you can follow directions, you can literally go print that off and build a house. Like, you might need to know some people, but some subs and contractors, but really and truly, it's just digging in and doing the research and learning the steps, because I think that you can literally do anything in life if you take it one step at a time, one day at a time, and don't quit. And so with my agents, some of them, while I've been doing this development and these new constructions, and right now we're fixing to start a 4-plex that I'm going to build and then hold it, and my property management company will hold it. So I think my husband and I have rental properties also. And so just my agents have the opportunity to, if they want to get in my Bronco and ride with me to a listing, or they want to go see a development, like, I'm an open book. So, they all know that they can go with me and latch on and learn. And so that's just how I'm very hands-on.
Oh, I love that. And like digging in is that's the biggest thing. You have to learn. Yeah. Dive in.
I love it. I want to go full circle here. We started with your real estate story, and I know you mentioned that when you got started, initially you were with EXP, and of course now you have your own brokerage. What was in between that? Was there anything in between that?
There was a lot in between that. So I was with EXP. I had about, probably going into the end of the first year and a half, I had probably I think I had 23 listings. And I didn't know what a transaction coordinator was. I didn't know what an assistant was. In my mind, I was broke and in debt and working. And so I just knew that listings equaled paychecks. And so I would go through, and I would work till like 1 or 2 in the morning on paperwork. Like, my husband was like, oh my gosh, you just need to, like, you're working all the time. And so I have a friend, his name's Hayden Riggs. He's with KW. And I used to drive this gray jacked up Jeep, and I had turquoise all over it. And so it stood out. One time I got $1 million listing in the middle of a grocery store parking lot because of my Jeep. So it was like it was a ranch. But anyways, so Hayden would call me and he'd be like, hey, Kristi, just checking in. Are you interested in coming to KW or what? Blah, blah, blah. And he called me for like a year. He probably started calling me 6 months into my real estate career. And I was like, no, I'm good. I'm good. I'm not, like, I'm happy where I am, And so then he would just, he would call like every once in a while, and I didn't know that was recruiting, but that turns out that's what that is. But really developed a relationship because he called me so much to, just, and he wouldn't even say, hey, come to KW. He would just say, hey, how's the market? How's it going? Hey, I saw your Jeep. And one day he called, and I was in the middle of getting an oil change, and I was in the middle of something. And he was like, hey, I just wanted to invite you to this thing, this class. It's called Bold. And I was like, Hayden, I will come. If you will just stop like calling me, I will come. Just let me know when and where. Like just like, okay. And so I ended up going to Bold, and it blew my mind because, I hadn't leveraged anything. And I was struggling, and my paperwork was horrible, and just we're just trying to make it. And so get more business and make it. And so I did the Bold for 6 weeks. And by like the 4th week, it just blew my mind because I didn't know how to run a business. I came from education. My philosophy in life is you just figure it out as you go. I mean, Hayden always said we build the airplane in the air. That's just, we figured out one problem at a time. And so I went with KW, and I remember this like it was yesterday. I told Hayden, I can't come because I have 23 listings and I can't redo this paperwork. And I can't buy 23 new signs. like I do not have the money for that. And so he was like, look, we have a transaction coordinator. She will help you for the first month, get everything moved over. And I said, okay. So I took a stack of paper. I mean, it was like folder. I felt like, and I took it to Angela Moore's desk, and I just put it down. And she just was wonderful. She did it all. And I was like, it just opened my eyes to a whole new opportunity. And so I was with Keller Williams, I think, I don't know, 4 or 5 years. And the one thing that I do credit them for is they really teach you how to run a business. I was on the ALC, the agent, leadership committee. I got to help people. I got to teach classes, like I taught farm and ranch classes. And so, but I learned how to do a P&L. I learned how to run a business. And so that's when I started my LLC and I started my team. So I guess about a year to 2 years into going to Keller Williams, and started a team and grew that. And then I had the opportunity there's one billboard coming into my town, and like whoever has that billboard gets it, and they never let go of it, like ever. If you don't have it, you're not getting it. And so one day I was like, okay, I need that billboard. And so I called the guy, and he was like, nope, the feed store has it. And so I was like, oh God, I'm never gonna get it. So I had told my husband, I was like, I'm not gonna get that billboard. So I've got to do something else to get some turquoise. And I was like, I think they have this. So I was like, I want a building downtown. And like these buildings are from like 1860, 1870 to like 1930. They're old. So there's probably about 30 of them, and 15 on each side. The railroad track, it comes down, the railroad track's at the top. You come down a hill and you go between a lot of old buildings. And so my husband and I were in Arkansas looking at land, and I got everybody's phone numbers that owned these buildings because there was none for sale. And I started calling, and I started at the top, went all the way down one side and came back up the other. And I got told no. Oh my God, so many times. And a lot of these buildings just have garage sale or antique stuff in them. Like most of them weren't active businesses. They're just here, And so, but all these people were like, no, 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 no. So this building that I bought used to be a flower shop. And during COVID, they had to close down. And so anyways, I'm calling, and I come back up, and I'm like, hey, Miss Michelle, I'm pretty sure that I know your answer is going to be no, because I've been told no like 20 times. I said, but I want to buy your building. And she said, well, honey, it's your lucky day, because I'm ready to get rid of it. And I said, okay. So I came the next week, and one thing about me is I don't like to be told no very much. And I've been with my husband since I was 17 years old. And he doesn't really tell me no because he knows that I'm going to go do it anyway. And so we had done a flip house that he had no clue about because he told me no. So I had bought a house. I went and opened Pink Arrow Properties LLC, and I bought this house that he told me I couldn't buy. And it didn't go over very well either. But I flipped it, and we made a lot of money, and I learned a lot of lessons. And so fast forward to this building, I'm like, well, I flipped a house. We can remodel a 2-story, 2,000 square foot building that's, 120 years old. And so I come and I buy it, and he never even looked at it. And it was wretched bad. So I'm like, it's got these old floors in it, these wood floors, pier and beam. And I'm like, okay, we're going to like keep the floors. We're going to take the stuff off the wall so you can see the old brick. And we're going to take all these, there was like 4 drop ceilings. I was like, we're going to take those out and we're going to build some offices. It did not happen that way. We started taking stuff apart, and it was bad. The brick was falling apart. There was water under the building. So we went to Plan B, and we renovated this whole entire building. I mean, we gutted it till you couldn't gut it anymore. And we filled it full of dirt. There were 36 dump trucks full of dirt. And then we poured 100 foot of concrete. It's like 25 foot wide by 100 feet. And then we built a steel frame to hold up. So the ceiling joists are saw cut 2x12s with the square nails still in them. And I wanted them to show, like I wanted that to be like the focal point. Well, the back of the roof was horrible. And the roofer was like, I'm not doing this. So literally hired someone to build a steel I-beam frame to hold the ceiling up, and then we re-bricked it from floor to ceiling. And then we came in and put 6 offices and a huge front area. And it wasn't enough for 2-story because we had to put the steel system in. And so we have an upstairs, it's just attic. And I told my husband, I was like, I want a black metal staircase, and I want a catwalk to make it look like there's an upstairs. And so we spent all this money. My friend welded this staircase up, and it looks gorgeous, but nothing's upstairs but like storage. So I spent all this.
I want a tour of the building.
Yes, I'll have to
like this.
I'll have to do a video.
I know, like I have this visual now.
It's actually, so a crazy thing about me is every project that we do, I make a folder on Facebook, and that's another marketing tool. And so like any of the demo, I have a folder for every project I've ever done, and you can go to my Facebook, and it's on my personal one.
Yay.
And you can actually see every project we've done from start to finish. So it's really neat. A lot of people like to follow along. Like we just demoed a house last week and for this new project we're doing. But so anyways, we did the building and rented it out. I have a lender, I have property management, my real estate company, a roofing company, and I have one office that's open. So created, a revenue stream because it costs so much money to redo this building. So now we're getting paid back on that end of it. This building came available, and I painted the front sort of some black with some bright turquoise, and it definitely stands out. And I said, okay, well, I'm going to bring my team from KW to Troup, which I was in Tyler, which is 25 minutes. So I was just like, okay, we're just going to come work. This will be our new KW. I don't remember what they call it, like satellite office or something like that. And so a lot of things just happened. People didn't want to move from Tyler to Troup. Like I was really the only one that did business here. Everybody else sort of went, that was on my team, like they did business where we were out of. And so I just looked into it more and more, and I had realized that I had a master's degree. And so a lot of those hours went towards your broker's license. And so I really only had to take 3 months worth of classes to get my broker's license. So at that point, I decided, okay, we've got this gorgeous building downtown. And I started looking into being a broker, and I thought, well, the entrepreneur and the wealth builder and the money maker in me was like, why am I paying someone else when I think I can do it? And so I just took a leap of faith and started. I had one agent and my assistant's actually in Oklahoma. So I have two in the Philippines and I have one in Oklahoma. And so she has stuck with me since day one. And then I had an agent come with me, and everybody else was like, hey, I'm going to do my own thing. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to be with Kristi Martin anymore. And I was like, you know what? We'll build it. And so we just came, and I have a coach. I have a business coach. Her name's Heather Patterson. She's in Arizona, and she really helped me build this foundation. So really big on values, she is very big on where are you going, and we got to have all this mapped out. So I started my brokerage. It was so busy. We were selling everything because it was during the busy time. And she kept saying, well, do you have your values? Do you have your goals? Do you have all this stuff? And I'm like, no. So I don't sit still long enough to do that kind of stuff. And so one day, it was like 3 months later, she was like, oh my God, Kristi, do you have this? And I was like, no, I don't. She goes, okay, well, go ahead and buy you a ticket on an airplane and fly to Arizona. And we're going to sit down and we're going to do this. And I said, okay. So I got on a plane, went to Phoenix, and we spent 2 days meshing out, our values and our goals, and like, what did I want Kristi Martin Realty to look like? And so we've just sort of grown it ever since. But the funny thing is, okay, so I got this building. I bought the building. I found out that I have to gut it and spend all this money. 2 weeks later, the billboard guy calls me, and he's like, Kristi, crazy thing, the billboard is now available. And I'm like, oh my God, like, I don't have any, like, I just spent all this money on this building. But then I was like, okay, God, like, this is a sign. I'm going to figure out how to do it. And so I ended up getting the billboard and the building. So when you come in this tiny town, there's a turquoise billboard. That's Kristi Martin Realty. And when you come about a mile down the road, there's a big turquoise building. So we have turquoise everywhere.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome. Kristi, I feel like we could talk for like another hour. I so appreciate you, and I can't wait to connect again. Just thank you so much for coming on our podcast today. I'm sure our listeners got so much out of that.
Totally.
Well, thank you for having me. I've enjoyed talking. I can talk a lot. So, but that's a big thing about selling real estate. You got to be able to.
That's right. That's right.
Yes.
Well,
Thank you
you
again. We'll talk to you soon.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us on this episode of Momentum in Real Estate. We hope you found valuable insights and strategies to propel your real estate journey forward.
If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to subscribe to our podcast and leave us a review. Your feedback helps us continue to deliver content that resonates with you. Remember, success in real estate is about continuous learning, growth, and serving others. Keep that momentum going and watch your business thrive.
Until next time, keep pushing forward and bringing your real estate dreams to life.
This is Cory Wall
and Kristen James signing off from Momentum in Real Estate.